Welcome back to the Boeckle Brothers channel. As you may know, I'm Landon and this is my partner Jesse, and today we're going to talk about a nightmare of a situation we had with one of our Airbnb rentals.
Right, but before we jump into that nightmare, please like and subscribe and share this video so hopefully we help you with your problems, and the more that you spread it around, hopefully the more people we can help with theirs.
So on today's episode, we're going to talk about an Airbnb nightmare that we had. We're trying to get into the Airbnb game. And as you know, there's a very lucrative position to be in with Airbnb.
Yeah.
We tried to jump right into that and fell flat on our face pretty quick.
Didn't work very well. But that's why we got into it, because we know what we need to be doing. We know that since we own a flipping company and we're making profits with our flipping company, we should probably be doing the right thing and parlaying some of those into rentals and owning rentals. And one of the best rentals you could possibly own is an Airbnb.
Right. It's kind of like the gold mine of cash flow rentals, right? You get a regular rental and maybe they make $300 to $500 a month traditionally.
Right.
And then you got these people who are buying these Airbnbs and posting all over the internet and all over social media that they're netting like $5,000 to $10,000 a month from each property. So naturally, that's what we want to jump into.
I want to do that.
Jeez.
So we thought one of the best ways that we could do that was taking one of our flips that we basically had finished, and we sat back and looked at it and we went, wow, this is an awesome, I would love to rent this house for myself. If I showed up and rented this Airbnb, I would be stoked.
Yeah, I mean, it was a single-story home. It had 4 bedrooms, which is ideal for Airbnb, of course, 8 to 10 people. Mm-hmm. It was close to the airport, very centrally located in town near the freeways. It had everything, a pool, a spa, 3-car garage. It had a huge yard that we made pretty badass.
We did an awesome job with it, honestly. Once we decided to do this and go with an Airbnb model, we decided to put like horseshoes and a fire pit and a bunch of different games and a barbecue.
We decked it out.
Yeah, covered patio. We did all kinds of cool stuff that we'd want to see in a rental. So it really checked every box. And to that point, when we did decide to put it on Airbnb, that was proven because we had bookings immediately. And we had bookings probably 5 months out, after only being on Airbnb for a week or two. Yeah,
and it was an incredible rental. It was an incredible property. Let's talk a little bit and tell the viewers how we actually bought this property. Like we said, we bought it as one of our flips.
We did.
So it's kind of cool how we did it. We had it fully renovated, and then we were actually able to also plug in the staging or the furniture into it as well.
Right.
And then we bought it fully renovated and fully staged for a certain amount.
Right. This might not be the absolute smartest way to do it because, again, we're trying to figure it out and learn it. But once we decided to make it a rental, it had already been renovated. So we said, we have a profit margin in this. Mm-hmm. Instead of buying it and paying ourselves a profit margin, let's go ahead and just spend more and do the things that we know the Airbnb needs, like fully furnish it, all the bedrooms, everything it could possibly need, all the kitchen items, everything it could want, the backyard, make it super cool. So we added those expenses to the flip, and then by the time we were done, there wasn't a whole lot of profit in it, but that's okay. We didn't necessarily want to make a profit off of ourselves.
No, we just wanted to buy something that was 100% ready to go. It was Airbnb ready by the time we were done with it. So we bought the property all in for $430,000. Now our mortgage on that property is give or take $2,400 a month all in.
Right.
And that's pretty low for Airbnb. So when we went to Airbnb it, we actually hired a professional management company, and using a 21-day calendar month, mm-hmm. we estimated that we would net $6,000 to $7,000 a month from this single property.
Right, and of course they charge a fee. I think it was like 15%.
I think we were paying 20% to these guys, okay. But which is a little bit high. We figure standard is between 15 and 20% for these Airbnb managers. Yeah. But they were the one-stop shop, and they were great. They managed the website, they managed all the bookings, they managed the cleanings, they managed the turnovers, and of course all the maintenance as well.
They even helped us with like what we should furnish it with, and like what kind of stuff we should provide to them too. So they're very experienced.
Yeah. So we tried to do everything as best we could, but one of the major downfalls that we had in this was in Las Vegas, here in Las Vegas, which is our market, it's actually not legal, or they don't license Airbnbs.
Right. So Vegas is kind of split up. A third of Vegas is actually considered the city of Henderson.
Right.
The rest is pretty much Las Vegas proper. And although we could go online and look at the entire city and see Airbnbs available everywhere, the true permitted Airbnbs that the city allows are truly only in Henderson.
Right.
And so we decided to overlook that fact.
Yeah, well, we were kind of told that, we were kind of told by the company that we were working with that they're managing, tens or dozens of properties in Las Vegas, which also were unlicensed, unpermitted properties. So, the odds of getting caught in our minds was very slim.
They made us feel pretty comfortable with it that they managed those other places in Las Vegas. And so we thought, if they're doing it, and they have experience, maybe we can too. So we decided to just go ahead and overlook that fact and proceed with it.
Yeah. And like Jesse said earlier, we were booked out 4 to 5 months in advance.
Right. I know. We thought we were rolling. We
were doing
great.
It was crazy.
We actually got a couple bookings under our belt. So we had 2 or 3 parties come in, 4 to 6 people, book it for the weekend or a 3-day weekend. Everything went really well.
We got 1 or 2 months worth of profitable checks.
Yeah.
And then, of course, month 3 comes around and knock, knock, knock on the door. It's the city of Las Vegas.
Right. So code enforcement showed up to one of our bookings, and now we had set up ourselves in a certain way where most everyone that is in the house should understand what to say if this were to happen. Nothing went to plan, so basically code enforcement slapped our address with a regulation and with a fine, basically saying if you proceed with the short-term rental that we suspect you're doing at the property, it's like, what, $1,000 a day?
Yeah.
It was a fine.
There was a cease and assist letter from the city of Las Vegas that said it's $1,000 a day fine if we find out that you continue.
So what do we do at this point? We feel like we're kind of dead in the water. We tried something. We got so much invested into something that all of a sudden has come to a screeching halt. So let's fight it.
Right. We're holding a property with a mortgage of $2,400 a month. All of our bookings have to be immediately canceled from there. So we're out of income. We're responsible for an asset and a mortgage, and we don't know what to do.
So like we said, we bought this as a flip.
Yeah.
And just like any other flip that we buy, it's just a distressed property.
Yeah.
There's nothing really terribly wrong with it. But as you can see, we'll put some of the pictures up here.
Yeah, check out these pictures of the before. It was a super dated house. Here's the kitchen.
Actually pretty closed off in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And that was something that we really wanted to make sure we addressed.
We took this entire wall back, which we'll show you in the afters. Look at the backyard. Backyard needed a lot of work, a lot of updating.
The rest of the house was overall just pretty plain. Yeah. So it was ripe for our cosmetic renovation.
Right. The perfect flip property.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And so now that it's done, now that we finished the property, this is exactly what it looked like, and we thought this thing looked awesome.
Yeah, look at how cool this place was. This is an ultra-modern Airbnb. When you're searching Airbnbs, this is the type of property that's going to stand out right away to you. Right. This is the type of property you want to bring a group of people to Vegas to party at.
I'd be, I'd say it again, I'd be super happy if I rented this house and showed up that day with my friends. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and as you can see, we took out the big wall in the kitchen, put a huge waterfall island in, super modern kitchen with a two-tone cabinet. Look at the backyard. We put a putting green in the backyard. Check this photo out.
Putting green was next to the, was it actually horseshoes that we did?
It was one lane of horseshoes, 1 lane of cornhole.
So and
horseshoes, a putting green, and a fire pit, and the giant pool and spa.
Yes, yeah. So the backyard pretty much checked every box.
Yeah, it was
really cool.
It was awesome.
And then the rest of the house was, of course, fully furnished and decked out. You can see the bedrooms and the living area. Everything's nice and open and all fresh and clean. So the house turned out great.
Awesome.
The actual company that we were using to help manage our Airbnb had experienced this before. This is something they've been through with other clients.
Right. They've dealt with the violation side of this business. And they've told us they've gotten through it pretty simply and kept on rolling.
Their advice was to go ahead and hire this type of attorney. He's used to doing this. He's very experienced with it. And he'll help you basically overcome the code enforcement violation. And so that's exactly what we did. We hired him. We kind of vetted him out for a little bit, told him the whole story, got him integrated, and then he actually attended the hearing with us.
Yeah, and we won the hearing.
We did.
We beat the city on this one.
Well, pat on our back. We did win that.
Yeah, and we did it with a creative structure as to how we actually purchased the property or not licensed it, but how we registered it with Airbnb.
Right.
We registered it that every tenant staying at the property was actually signing on as a member to our LLC.
For that duration.
For a duration of time. And then after that duration of time, they automatically diluted.
They fell off the ownership of the LLC.
Right.
And so they no longer own the house. They had no rights to the house. But the key is that during the time that they're staying there,
they're actually owners.
They are technically owners. So that was what I was saying earlier. If someone came to the house, like a code enforcement agent, and spoke to someone staying there, they have this more or less script to say, no, I'm actually part owner of this house. I'm not a short-term renter, and that should deter any code enforcement. Obviously, that didn't happen. We got caught for it, but that was the creative strategy that we tried to implement.
Now, deeper into this Airbnb nightmare that we're dealing with, we got caught by the city. We got a cease and desist. We had to hire attorneys to fight the fines.
Yep.
And then March of 2020 comes around.
Guess what?
And within 3 days, we are completely out of business with the Airbnb side because of COVID.
Yes.
That was the worst thing that could have happened to us. After all the struggle thus far with this, we put a lot of time, a lot of money into it. Now we're hit with a global pandemic where no one's traveling to Vegas.
No one's doing anything.
To do any sort of rental, whether it be short-term or 31-day plus at this time.
So we have a panic on our hands, and we have a decision to make here. So what do we do with this house? We have the mortgage. We have expenses on the house. We have no bookings. Everything's canceled. We've hired an attorney. We have added expenses for all of the hoops that we just had to jump through to fight code enforcement. What do we do?
We had really two options. One option was to sell the house and take somewhat of a loss. It could have been a $5,000 or $10,000 loss.
Probably close to break even, or small loss.
Right. Either a break even or a small loss and let this investment go. Or we got to come up with something creative with some sort of tenancy to put a tenant in place that covers the $2,400 a month mortgage, which is pretty high. We paid a lot for the house thinking that we're going to make
thousands,
$8,000 to $10,000 a month gross on this property, which by far covers the mortgage. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here.
Yeah. And so we thought to ourselves, well, we don't necessarily want to give up on this. We want to try to be creative and make it work.
We knew we had a great property was a thing. We didn't want to sell this property that was just a gem. It really was so cool because of the features, from where it was located to how well we did on the flip and all the activities at the house.
To the fact that it was now fully furnished.
Yeah.
And so that led us to say, well, could we get a more of a traditional renter in there for a longer duration, maybe 3 to 6 months? We didn't really know at this point if we were going to sign 3, 6, or a year-month lease. But let's see if we could do a fully furnished rental for a longer duration and what we could possibly get with rents for that model.
Yeah, so we, as licensed agents, we put it on the MLS at $4,000 a month, fully furnished rental. We got some bites on it. We got some bites on it pretty quick, and that was surprising to us. It really was. The first group of people that came through, we're mid-COVID, we're in a panic. We didn't want to waste any time.
They were the first that came up to us, and I think they didn't want it at $4,000. They wanted it at like $3,500 or something like that.
I think that's where they came out to. So we leased it for 6 months to two younger guys. We didn't do a lot of vetting on them, so this is continuing on with the mistakes. The Airbnb was a mistake, not going through the permitting and the licensing or doing the legal way, to now we're putting in short-term tenants that we're not vetting out, we're not doing background checks on.
Not as much as we should.
And they had a bad history. We said, screw it, let's put them in there. $3,500 a month, two 25-year-old guys, and the party. The saga continues, and the party is on for these two guys.
Right. So some positive is the fact that now we have a renter in there, and at least our mortgage is covered, plus some. So we're actually cash flowing a much smaller amount than we anticipated, but we're not bleeding, and that's number one.
The weight was lifted off our shoulders. COVID's full bore. We're talking about April, May right now. We got tenants in there from May till November.
Yeah.
And we don't have to worry about it because we're covering costs and we're making $1,000 a month. Great.
Right.
We think nothing else could go wrong.
Little to our knowledge, they were in there having friends over, throwing parties, smoking in the house, basically dirtying the house like it was going out of style. They were doing so much crap in that house that when we actually went towards the end of their tenancy to look at it and do like a landlord inspection, we were blown away.
I think that they threw a rave in this house every day for 6 months straight.
And didn't ever clean one time.
It was unbelievable. Let's show them. We have photos of that.
Yeah, we definitely did.
The floors are literally black with grime.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that we noticed right away. Like, these floors are a beautiful light gray wood tone, and when we were walking through the house, they were almost solid black.
Yeah, these were brand new. We only had 3 or 4 Airbnb people stay in the house before we put these guys in it. So the floors have barely ever been used. Nothing's been used in this house at this point.
No, the countertop destroyed. The oven, the actual
look at this. Look at the range. Yeah. I like the range because
the food on this thing.
These guys were cooking on this for 6 months straight, and they did not clean the stove one time. Let's show the picture of the stove.
You can tell all they ate is like noodles. There are dried noodles everywhere.
And then let's not forget the smoke in the house.
Yeah, which is harder to show you, but we could find evidence that they were actually smoking weed in the house, and you could see that by all the paraphernalia.
Yeah.
They actually left a whole bunch on their nightstand. We have a picture of that.
Yeah, picture of the weed, the joint roaches. Yeah. And then we went in, there was a big bong in there one time.
The house smelled terrible.
Here's a photo of the bong. And then just the pure dirtiness of these guys. It was unbelievable. So they move out, and we have a major discrepancy with these guys on their earnest money deposit, their security deposit.
We went back and forth with them. We had to fix all this stuff up to even think about putting a new person in, and that includes the floors. That includes fixing the AC with the smell and everything that they've damaged on top of that, including all the sinks and the disgustingness that they left everywhere.
Yeah, it cost us about $4,000, $5,000 to remediate the damages. So the money that we're making while they're in there, we quickly had to spend because they destroyed the place. We had to repaint the house. We had to hire a professional grout cleaning and tile cleaning company to come into the house to clean the tile, grout, and floors. That's how bad they were. A mop would not do it.
No. And so we added it up. It was probably between $4,000 and $5,000 after we did everything. And we told them that, look, this is what we had to do. This is the state you left it in. Here is proof. Here is the vendors and contractors we used to fix everything back to the original standard. And here's what it costs, and here's why we're taking your security deposit. And so they replied, no, that's ridiculous. We're taking you to small claims court. We think it should be about...
We got a demand letter from them.
I think they replied at some point. There was a lot of back and forth, but I think they replied at some point saying, like, it should cost you guys should keep about $200 and give us back the rest.
It was something absurd. Look, we did $5,000 worth of remediation, and they thought they deserved it all back.
Yeah.
We, of course, fought it. We win that battle as well. So now we're left with a house that we have no tenants in once again. We have a mortgage on once again. It is cleaned and remediated because we had to.
We're still in COVID times, which actually...
Right now we're in October, November, so holidays.
Although that was kind of an issue when we first put these guys in, like, are we even going to be able to find someone? At this point now, the rental demand has gone through the roof.
Right.
And so there's people knocking down doors to rent places because they've all been scooped up. Everything's occupied.
Yeah, in April, May, people were panicking. By November, we realized that this real estate market is skyrocketing. It's soaring from the resale side and the rental side. So now we're confident.
Now we feel like we even have more of a gem in our hands.
So through the mistakes, through the trials and tribulations from Airbnb to now these bad tenants, we decided put it back on the market, $4,000 a month rent, and we're going to find a tenant that we do full background checks on, full verification on, credit verification, income statements, and we're going to put someone in there for no less than 1 year at $4,000 a month, and we got it.
We got it almost immediately.
We got them.
And these were really good people. After vetting them out, we felt very, very excited to have decent people in our house. And we were actually able to ask the $4,000,
right,
plus have them pay the utilities.
Right.
Besides the trash and stuff that you should always pay yourself if you're owning a rental, so that if the tenant doesn't pay those, you never get popped by the city or you never have a lien put on your house for not paying those crucial utilities, which is usually trash and sewer.
Right.
Cool. Just a little tip there.
Yeah.
But now we have a person in there paying us $4,000 a month plus utilities, so we're netting more than we thought we really could in a traditional renter standpoint.
Yeah, we're netting on this property still today over $1,500 a month.
They're still in there right now, living it up.
It's great.
Taking care of our property. We stop by it every once in a while.
Yeah, and what's cool about this is you learn from your mistakes, right?
Exactly.
And that's what we get out of this video. And we want you guys as viewers to know that, hey, we're out here trying too. We're making mistakes as well. But it's always important to try to push through, get creative, think outside the box, and continue to move forward and learn. And that's what we did.
Absolutely. Because instead of throwing the towel in and deciding to sell it and just walk away and saying we got defeated by this whole avenue, we decided to push forward, again, persevere, make it work, make it happen, be creative. And instead of basically considering this a total failure, we now stumbled into something that we consider a very big success.
Yeah, it's actually created a new business for us. We have made the fully furnished rental market a new business for us.
And now we're able to turn some great properties in the city of Las Vegas into higher cash flowing rentals than they would be traditionally without furniture, but a little bit less than they would if we Airbnb'd them. So we've kind of found this middle ground where we're able to cash flow much more on these properties for really a menial expense to actually furnish the home. It's not that much to do that.
It's not. And sometimes you could even, like we did on this first one, is tie it into the loan. Yeah, so since we, successfully pushed through a problem and then created this new successful business model, since we did this first one, we've actually already bought one more property with a long-term tenant in it that's cash flowing quite a bit of money.
Right.
And we have 2 more on the way right now.
We do. We're actually going to do another video where we do a deep dive into the numbers and the performance of this furnished rental model. So stay tuned for that video coming out soon.
To the point of today's video was to really share with you guys how we had a major problem on our hands and how we got creative, persevered, and found a solution to it. So we want you guys to do that as well. If you have any problems that you're dealing with right now or have any questions of how to deal with a problem, drop them below and we'll make sure to respond. And until then, we'll see you on the flip side.